Love, heartbreak, and second chances. What if the end of a story is even more surprising than the beginning? The Groomsmen, Last Dance, the grand finale of Hallmark's beloved Groomsmen trilogy, refuses to play by predictable, romantic movie rules. Instead, it dares to ask, what happens after everyone else's love stories wrap up? And this is the part most fans get wrong. The bride at the heart of all three films isn't who you might expect. The opening scene instantly drops you back at the event that started it all, Hannah's wedding, an emotional backdrop where so many lives and romances began to intertwine. Here, Pete first laid eyes on Chelsea. Remember their sparks in movie 1? And it's also where Danny discovered that his right-hand man Zach was in love with someone else. A major twist in the second film. But now, it's finally Jackson's turn in the spotlight. Viewers meet Jackson, Tyler Hines, a dedicated single father and talent agent who cares deeply for his teen daughter, Betty. When Betty and her mother relocate to the picturesque coast of Italy following the wedding, Jackson is heartbroken, but maintains a healthy co-parenting rapport with his ex, Trisha. So when Trisha must jet off for work and asks Jackson to spend time with Betty in Italy, he jumps at the chance, feeling a bit restless in his own career. Cue a classic Hallmark encounter. Jackson nearly hits a local woman, Gabriella, with his car. She doesn't let his distracted American ways slide and instantly calls him out in true Italian fashion. This isn't just any random meeting, though. Gabriella is actually Betty and Trisha's landlord and also operates a family-run restaurant, making it impossible for Jackson to avoid her. Initially prickly, their relationship thaws as they continually bump into each other around town. Ever the marketing expert, Jackson lends Gabriella a hand with her restaurant's online presence. For Jackson, it's a perfect excuse to avoid hovering over Betty and her friends, which only pushes her further away. Gabriella's genuine hospitality shines when she offers to cook for Jackson and Betty, a gesture that delights Betty, who's been quietly hoping her father would open his heart again. Yet, just as things start to heat up, Jackson balks, putting the brakes on a potential romance, convinced he needs to focus solely on fatherhood. But here's where it gets controversial. Is Jackson really being responsible? Or is he simply afraid to be vulnerable? Betty doesn't hold back. She calls out her father's overprotectiveness, admitting that his constant presence stifles her independence and social life. Instead of just shielding her, he's shielding himself too, clinging to emotional safety rather than risking new love. Maybe you've seen this in your own life. How often do we justify pushing people away by saying it's for someone else's good? A major turning point arrives with the town's masquerade festival, leading to a mysterious but obviously Gabriella masked dance with Jackson. Old friends Danny and Pete even fly in for the festivities, reminding Jackson of the joys and risks of opening up. The story deepens further when Jackson joins Gabriella on a trip to her father's vineyard, where she wants to broker a peace. Both parents, now divorced, must work together to merge their businesses. Their car breaks down, forcing them to spend the night with Gabriella's gruff father. In this awkward but meaningful setting, both fathers realize that protecting their daughters doesn't mean shutting themselves away from life or love. As the film barrels toward its big reveal, the long-narrated bride is finally unmasked. We find her at a cozy Irish pub as her groom arrives. In a twist, Betty herself, the once tomboyish daughter, turns out to be the mystery bride, and her groom is none other than Milo, Danny's nephew, who awkwardly flirted with her at Hannah's wedding. But, and here comes another point for debate, Betty's hesitation to marry Milo springs from a sense of inadequacy. Unlike Jackson, Danny, and Pete, her own love story feels ordinary and uneventful. Is an epic romance a prerequisite for lifelong happiness? Milo's heartfelt gesture, showing Betty their shared childhood arcade game, and how his initials MLB secretly stood for Milo Loves Betty, persuades her their love is plenty epic in its own way. They return to their wedding, where surrounded by Jackson, Danny, and Pete, they finally say, I do. If you're a fan of rom-com ensembles like Four Weddings and a Funeral, you'll immediately recognize the familiar blend of humor, romance, and overlapping storylines, though with a distinctly Hallmark, funeral-free twist. This installment also evokes the channel's earlier hit Two Scoops of Italy, with its sun-drenched Italian settings and food-fueled flirtation. Here's my take. From start to finish, the Groomsmen trilogy is pure comfort viewing with just enough drama to feel real. I'll admit, Jackson has always been my favorite. Am I alone in this? So seeing his emotional transformation was especially rewarding. And while the blossoming romance with Gabriella might not culminate in the sort of grand wedding Hallmark viewers crave, that passion is instead reserved for Betty's own journey. The real emotional core is the believable, touching father-daughter bond between Tyler Hynes and Chloe Raphael. Their scenes pulse with warmth and authenticity, a refreshing break from melodramatic cliches. But now let's broach a divisive detail. Does the film perfectly bridge the gap between young Betty and her older self, Elizabeth? To me, they feel like two quite distinct people. Even in their mannerisms and energy, it's a clever ploy to keep viewers guessing. But I wish Elizabeth carried more of Betty's quirky sparkle. Is that a deal-breaker or a deliberate tonal shift? Tell me what you think below. Should a character's essence stay consistent as they grow up? The last scene? Absolutely irresistible. As loved ones dance at the wedding, the opening riff of Shake Your Groove Thing blares through the speakers. Jackson, Pete, and Danny take the dance floor to perform their signature childhood routine, now upgraded with decades of friendship and plenty of new moves. It's a joyful, nostalgic nod that ties the entire trilogy together. Special mention, Chloe Raphael absolutely shines as young Betty, effortlessly balancing sass and sincerity. Her depiction of the complexities of teenagerhood, frustration, hope, and a need for independence never feels exaggerated or tiresome. Instead, she's unwaveringly relatable, perhaps even more so than the romantic leads. Most memorable moment: when Betty asks her father, "Remember walking me to school in Italy?" and Jackson, both nervous and proud, walks her down the aisle at her own wedding. She whispers, "Those were just practice runs." It's a line packed with emotional history. Final verdict? The Groomsmen, Last Dance, wraps up this cinematic journey with satisfying closure, heartwarming characters,